Well, welcome back to the Ropes Family Podcast. It's been a minute. It's been 2 weeks. I'm gonna apologize because I've been sick. They said walking pneumonia, whatever that means. But that's what I've had the last couple weeks. And Courtney's has a new niece, so I didn't want to get Courtney sick. So we kind of just didn't record a podcast the last couple weeks. And then I actually physically could not record a podcast. I couldn't talk for a little bit. Couldn't breathe. I'm breathing okay now. I'm recovering. I'm on the road to recovery, but that's where we are with it. That's why there hasn't been a podcast in the last 2 weeks. But this week we're going to be talking. We're continuing our Fruit of the Spirit series. We're going to be continuing with gentleness, fruit of the Spirit, gentleness. So Courtney, can you define gentleness for us?
Yes, the Webster's definition is the quality of being kind, tender, and mild-mannered. And the biblical definition is showing care and respect for others in the way that you act and speak. Okay,
I like that, showing care and respect for others. I think that kind of goes back to kindness. Like I think all of these fruit are related. You know, obviously they're the fruit of the Spirit, so they're coming from the same place, so they're going to be related. I liked your point that you wrote on here. Do you mind sharing that for us real quick?
No, I think the world sees gentleness as weakness.
Yeah.
And gentleness isn't being weak. It isn't weakness. It requires humility, forgiveness, kindness.
It requires, the other parts of the
fruit
of the fruit of the Spirit, right? It's and like you said, the world sees it as weakness, but when you look at it from our perspective, from a Christian perspective, it's countercultural, you know, and we're supposed to be different, you know, and that's what the fruit of the Spirit allows us to do, you know, and it says in one of the books of the Bible, I'm drawing a blank, but in our weakness, He is made strong, you know, and so in our gentleness, in us acting gentle and being gentle, people see Jesus, they see His light through us.
And one of the verses because of course Jesus was a perfect example of gentleness. And in Matthew 11:28-30, Jesus says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light."
I think this verse kind of shows us how to be gentle, you know, and it's going to sound strange, but it's obedience to Jesus, right? Take my yoke upon you, right? Let me take control. Let me take the reins of your life, right? And base our life on obedience to Jesus, rely on the Spirit, and gentleness will be the fruit of that. You know, allow Jesus to control our responses. Allow Jesus to control our gentleness, you know. Take my yoke upon yourself. Take my yoke upon you. Let me take the reins. Let me take control. And that's where we'll get the fruits of the Spirit. That's how we'll learn how to do it, is from letting Jesus take the reins.
It's not human nature to be gentle. Or in my opinion, it's not. It's, you know, get back at someone or respond aggressively. And coming from me, that means a lot because I'm a very aggressive person. But I'm just saying. And we are called to be gentle in Ephesians 4:2. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. And then also in Colossians 3:12, therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience.
I like these two passages, and I think I've said this on a podcast before, but Ephesians and Colossians are related. Obviously, they're written by the same person, but I think they're written at the same time for a very similar group of people, like for the Ephesians and then for the Colossians. Two separate letters, but they say a lot of the same things. They have a lot of the same ideas. In both of these passages that you referenced here, Paul is explaining to the church that how they should, you know, carry themselves, how they should operate in life. And the things that he mentions in Colossians are fruits of the Spirit, you know, like compassion, Well, that's not really one, but it is one. Kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Those are fruits of the Spirit. Paul is calling us to operate in the Spirit in all aspects of our life. And we've talked a lot about Colossians 3. It's like I've said, it's kind of one of my favorite passages. And in this passage, Paul addresses the church, and you can kind of boil this passage down to all the way down to the individual, not just the church. And in Colossians 3:16, it says, "Let the word of Christ dwell within you richly." You, and then let the word of Christ dwell within your family richly. Let the word of Christ dwell within your church richly. And that's all a result of letting the word of Christ dwell within you, right? And then it goes out into bigger scale, and that covers, it's like an umbrella that covers all aspects of our life. And the fruit of the Spirit, it plays a role in that. Let the fruit of the Spirit dwell within you richly. Let it come out. Let it in each aspect of our life.
Well, I read somewhere, I thought I added it to our notes, but the only way we're ever going to be able to respond or to act with the fruit of the Spirit is through the Holy Spirit, which Spirit, there we go. But that made a lot of sense to me, because when I start trying to do things my way or trying to take over my life because I know so much, I notice that I start straying pretty far from the fruit, start doing my own thing, start responding without gentleness, kindness, everything. Yeah. And so if I'm not focused on the Holy Spirit and letting Jesus dwell within me, like you're saying,
yeah, we're
there
pretty quick to try and do it on our own. I totally understand that. And it's just kind of our human nature to operate that way. Letting the fruit of the Spirit, letting the yoke taking Jesus' yoke upon ourselves, that requires sacrifice of our own ideas and our own ways of doing things,
right? And
letting Jesus take control of that.
And then we just kind of started in this, but I struggle to handle things gently. If you know me, I'm not always gentle. And it goes back to respond, don't react for me all the time. And yes, I try to remember that, but Proverbs 15:1 says, "A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." So, I mean, how many times could a gentle answer have diffused a situation?
I struggle with this too, I struggle to remember this, that a gentle answer, sometimes I'm quick to try to come up with a response that I struggle to come up with one quickly, and when I do come up with one quickly, I forget that I need to be gentle in my answers, and so sometimes I'll have a quick answer and I'll be right, or I think I'm right.
Yeah.
And Allison will call me out. She's saying whatever I just said was rude. And my response is, it ain't rude if it's right. And that's not a very gentle answer. Even if it is right, but it's, I do struggle that sometimes. I'm like, what's a good way to jab? What's a good jab here? What's a good response to?
How can I hurt you like you just hurt me?
Yeah, sometimes. It may not be that. It may just be like,
mine is.
Oh yeah, sometimes it's that way, but sometimes it's not. Like even with my kids, sometimes I'll come up with some dumb answer to their question, but it wasn't a very gentle way of talking to them. It was a very me being an idiot, or rude or whatever. It ain't rude if it's right. That's one of my favorite things to say that's not very nice or gentle at all.
Favorite thing to say, but it's not nice.
Yeah.
I like it. And I do want me to share a story or not?
I do, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, story time.
Excuse me.
One time I was dealing with a person that, this person's very self-centered and very controlling. And we were talking on the phone and there was no relationship there to begin with, but they were talking to me very hatefully and rudely, and they were yelling and belittling and saying things to hurt me. And I fired back.
Got her.
And I made sure she felt the same pain I was feeling. And still to this day, we do not have a relationship at all. It is very terrible. It's something someone I should have a relationship with, but I don't. And I always wonder, what if I was the bigger person in that situation? What if I would have responded gently? Like, no, she wouldn't have heard me out, or she wouldn't have, I guess, felt what I was feeling. But what if I would have? What if I'd have just been like, she's having a bad day, or she's having control issues, and responded like Jesus would have responded? Would there have been a relationship?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I understand that completely. You know, sometimes it's like, it's so hard to be that bigger person or to respond with gentleness. I mean, it's in the Bible, so it's going to be a little bit hard.
Right.
You know, a gentle answer turns away wrath. The reason it's in there is because it's hard to do that, you know, and that's wisdom, and wisdom is hard. And it's so hard to act like the bigger person sometimes, but we don't know the outcome of what would have happened if you would have. You know, I have a similar story to that, where I was being disrespected, and so I responded with, you know, this is how you're treating me. I'm going to treat you the same way, and it didn't do anything good for the situation. It just made everybody angry, you know, and that wasn't a gentle way to do it.
Right.
But if it ain't rude if it's right.
Yeah.
I keep going back to that. That is not correct, by the way. If it's rude, it's probably not right either. You know, it's a gentle answer turns away wrath. That's gonna have to be my catchphrase for the next, especially this coming up week of Thanksgiving.
Yes.
You know, that's part of the family challenge. I'll tell you all that in a minute.
Yes, we're all gonna spend a lot of time with our families. Yeah, and I guess we kind of started out with being gentle isn't weak. But the human nature is, it looks weak when you just back down.
Yeah.
You kind of do like the belly up thing that my dogs do when somebody's being dominant.
Yeah.
I want to be seen as dominant as that person is and not weak. Ooh.
I think gentleness also can display a confidence too. Right. You know, like I can be gentle and confident in the situation that I don't have to respond in anger because I'm confident in the power within me, within the fruit of the Spirit. I'm confident in that. And so I think that's the goal of this. You know, of course, it's hard to obtain sometimes, you know, with our own human nature, battling with the fruits of the Spirit, you know. But I think that could be a positive outcome of being gentle is confidence.
Just like you just said, but when you respond to someone who may deserve your anger and wrath with kindness and forgiveness and love, then you're showing Jesus, who is the best example of gentleness.
Yeah.
And along with that comes confidence. If your confidence in your relationship with Jesus and him being inside of you, be gentle.
Yeah, you don't have to be defensive. You can be gentle in those situations.
Don't be aggressive like me. Just saying.
All right, you got anything else?
Nope, your family challenge is good.
Okay, so my family challenge this week, we are recording the Monday before Thanksgiving. And so it's a holiday week. And so we're all going to be around family that can definitely drive us crazy, you know. And I know for me, I'm going to be looking for the quick jabs sometimes and be like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get him. They're going to say something and I'm going to get them. But the challenge for me and the challenge for everybody is to respond with a gentle answer, you know, turn away wrath with a gentle answer and be gentle with those who trigger you, because you're going to be around people who trigger you, be around people who are just looking for the jabs, you know, just looking for the drama or the things. So be gentle with those people, and that'll diffuse them, I think. All right, that's all we got for this episode. I think we have one more Fruit of the Spirit episode. It is, what is it called?
Self-control.
Self-control. That one's going to be a difficult one. I think it goes along with
gentleness.
With gentleness. It's like they're related.
That's crazy.
Wow. All right, so we'll talk at y'all next time. Peace.